Live. Hello. This is an early live today because I have a little bit of a conflict later on in the day. So I'm doing this a little bit early. I announced it about an hour ago. So if you make it, you make it. If you're watching this later, thank you for watching this. And if you're seeing me for the first time, my name is Elle. I'm the host of the Speaking Tongues podcast, where we talk about language and culture from all over the world. Today, we actually have a new episode out. So I want to talk about that first. And it is timely with today's games. But we have a new episode out today. We're talking with Danny James, who is a translator here in New York City, native New Yorker, grew up in Belgium, and she translated a book from Flemish to English, a memoir, actually, by Tobias Schiff called Return to the Place I Never Left. I have a copy of it here. And she talks to us in the episode all about this book. This is a memoir of a Holocaust survivor who went through this horrible tragedy, and he was Belgian. He was a Belgian survivor, and Danny was so gracious to send me a copy of this book, and I'm making my way through it, and it's really, really, really powerful. In the conversation that is this week's episode, she talks about it, and she talks about what it was like to be able to make this to do this translation, and what it meant to her, being the grandchild of Holocaust survivors herself. So this is a really powerful podcast episode this week, and it's up here on my YouTube channel. So please make sure that you check it out, give it a thumbs up, leave me a comment, let us know what you think of the conversation. Danny was so much fun to talk with, and she told us about growing up in Belgium and what that was like, and all the different languages that she was able to connect with and learn, and that she heard in her community. She grew up in Antwerp, so that was really cool. And I didn't do this on purpose, but the timing of this episode was perfect because Belgium played today for the first time in the World Cup. And that match just ended. Belgium was playing Egypt, and I believe it tied. It ended at a draw, 1-1 draw. Really exciting, actually, in that match, because for me, as a Chelsea supporter, I didn't look at the rosters before the World Cup started, before the match, but it was really cool to hear Thibaut Courtois you mentioned and see that he's still the goalkeeper, and Romelu Lukaku, who is one of the best players, as far as I'm concerned, out there. And he came off the bench to equalize in a very short time. So that's always so exciting. Always a great thing to see him score, because he's just so good, and he's been so good since he was a teenager. I've been following him since he was a teenager, and it's like they're getting older, and I am also getting older, which is weird. But it's cool. It's cool. It was really good to see him. And, it's, for anyone who's been a longtime watcher of the World Cup, that you kind of get used to players playing every 4 years, or associating certain teams with certain players. And so when you start noticing that some of your old favorites are not there anymore, it's good to hear familiar names and see familiar faces sometimes, even if we're all a little bit older. But so that was really cool. That was actually a really good game, I think. Belgium and Egypt, I think that was a really good matchup, and I'm excited to see who they play next, and what their next few games are going to look like. But everybody's talking about the Cabo Verde game. Cabo Verde played Spain, and I misread my calendar. I thought the game started at 2, and I happened to check my calendar for something else, and I saw that it actually started at 12. And by the time I realized it, it was just after 1 o'clock. So I missed the first half of the game, which is not like me. But from the part that I saw, I was so impressed, and I was so happy, because I think a lot of people looked at this match and said, okay, Spain is ranked way, way up there. Top 10 football team. I think they're the current European champions. Correct me if I'm wrong. And they are previous World Cup holders. So I think everyone was looking at this match saying Spain is the powerhouse and Cabo Verde is this is the tiny team. They are one of the smaller countries represented in the World Cup this year. But they played so well. And I don't know, 40 minutes of the game that I saw them on defense. That was like, I was just shocked. They were playing their hearts out. And I guess I shouldn't have been shocked because usually when smaller teams come into a matchup with teams that have a larger reputation, I won't say better teams because that's not a thing, but teams that have more of a reputation ahead of them, they come into the game and there's a level of preparation that they have or a level of focus that they're able to show that I think can be so impressive. And I know that they made the entire country of Cabo Verde and the entire diaspora so, so, so proud. And I'm proud of them too. I feel like we were all rooting for them today. We're all Cabo Verdeans today. And seeing them, the goalkeeper, I saw this actual funny story. I saw this goalkeeper. He, before the match, he had like 50,000 followers or something like that. And then afterward, he's got like 2.1 million followers on Instagram, which is amazing. So that just goes to show you how many people were really excited, and how many people were really excited for the shots that he blocked and for the defense that he played for Cabo Verde. So I'm pumped. I'm really excited to see their next game and how they play in the rest of the tournament. And they look so well. So I'm hoping that they're going to get out of the group stage and they're going to go as far as they can. I wish them well. I really, really wish them well. And I hope that they have a great rest of the World Cup. So we'll all be watching and rooting for them. And the other thing about the goalkeeper that I love personally is that he's 40. And I know so much of football and professional sports anyway is a younger person's game. So it's, as a member of the over 40 club, maybe some of you are too, I think it's really inspiring and it's really wonderful to see somebody who's playing in top form and not 24 years old. No shade to the 20 somethings, but life goes on after 30. That's the message here. So that was really cool. And let me think about it. Last night I watched the last game. I fell asleep during the last game. That was Sweden, Tunisia, I think. And I woke up and that game was full of goals. The last I remember, it was 1-1. So I woke up and I saw that score. If any of you saw the rest of the game, I'd love, leave me a comment or something. Let me know what you thought of the Swedish side or the Tunisian side, and how they look, because I tried to stay up, but yesterday was a really long footballing day. So I didn't make it, but we've got 2 more matches coming up, actually starting in a few minutes. Saudi Arabia is playing Uruguay. And I did check the lineups for that one, because when I saw Courtois and I saw Lukaku, I said, if some of the older guys are older, if some of the the players that I remember are still playing, I said, I wonder if the Menace is playing for Uruguay. I'm not going to say his name, but if you're a football fan, you know who I'm talking about. The one who enjoys eating Italian, let's say that. And, he's not on the squad. So great. I can not hate watch this game, and I can enjoy it and enjoy the rest of my evening. And then after that, Iran is playing New Zealand. So I might be a little ignorant on this, but every time I've seen New Zealand play, whether it's basketball, rugby, I know they start their games with a haka. I don't know if that's a soccer football thing. If you know, let me know in the comments if it is. If it's not, it's fine. But if it is, I can't wait to see it. I guess I'll find out. I don't even want to Google it because I want to be surprised. I want to be surprised. And if you've listened to my podcast, if you've followed me for a while, you know how much I love a Maori haka. It's one of my favorite things in life ever. So that's really it for the football today. There is something else that I've been wanting to mention, and I'm gonna try not to ramble about this because it's one of those things that's really annoying to me. And I did call my father about it just to complain a little bit this morning, but if you read my piece on Substack about the World Cups that I've lived through in the last 28 years, I'd mentioned that I keep a scrapbook of World Cup, and this was an idea that my friend Jamie did in 1994. And then, when we met and she told me about it, I decided I wanted to do one too. And it's really so much fun for me to do every 4 years and collect newspapers and magazine clippings and anything I can find about the games, about the players, about the human interest stories in World Cup. And one of the big newspapers in New York that I rely on for this is the New York Times. To make a long story short, I bought the New York Times for the last 3 days, and there is no coverage in this newspaper of the World Cup. And so I don't know what to do. I really don't know what to do because this was the newspaper that had the most amazing photos. And this is a broadsheet. So it's, the photos would sometimes be, across both pages. And there were these sweeping articles and dramatic photos that I have physical record of from 2002. And so I have a bit of a bone to pick with the New York Times because I'm at this stage now where here's the World Cup right in my city, right in my backyard, and I have no way to keep a physical record of this time in my book. And I don't want to look back, 4 years from now and say, I have nothing from this time. I have nothing to put in this book, and I have nothing, which is not true. As my dad suggested, I could print out articles and photos from the internet, and I could do that. I don't want to because it's not the same. And I really feel like being forced into a digital format. I think what I didn't say is that all the coverage of the World Cup in the New York Times is on their app, The Athletic. So they've removed the paywall for The Athletic for the entirety of the tournament. And that's great. We can follow the coverage. We can get the box scores and anything else, any other stories on there. But not printing it physically is such a missed opportunity because selfishly, yes, I want this for my book. But non-selfishly, I think we're in an era right now where we really need printed materials. They're a way to keep a record of what has happened and where we were in a current moment. And I think that digitally, it's convenient for a lot of us, maybe most of us, but we know what is happening to our press, what is happening to our media, and digital records of things can be erased, they can be altered, they can be changed. And having that something printed, now I don't necessarily know who would want to change something about the World Cup because it's maybe not the most controversial thing, it's not politics, but for some of the games that are maybe lower stakes or the games that quote unquote nobody cares about, I can go back to 2002 and I can open my scrapbook and I'll see exactly what happened in that game. I don't have to go on a hunt and hope that someone has a link to it in the Wayback Machine on the internet. And so I've created this archive. I've created this record, and that's what scrapbooks are for, right? But I have this record and I have this, piece of history that's printed and tangible. And just the thought of not having that for this year in our current political climate, domestically and globally, doesn't sit right with me. And I know it's just football, but football is life. And I think beyond that, football says so much about society. It says so much about our cultures and where we are and who we are. And I think this is such a missed opportunity from the New York Times as we're in a city where the World Cup is happening. There's so many human interest stories that can be told and shared. And if I was featured in an article about the World Cup in the New York Times, I would want to buy every copy I could find because I'm in it. And I would want to send that to my family. I might even want to frame it. I might want to save it. So this is really bugging me. This is really, really, really bugging me. And I don't know what to do. So hopefully I'll figure it out. If I come across a solution, or if anybody has an idea, or if there's anybody watching this in another city, like maybe in Boston or Philly or LA or Detroit, Miami, Houston, wherever, if your newspapers are printing coverage of the World Cup, let me know so that I can figure out how to get a few copies. It's unfortunate to not be able to have a consistent record from the same newspaper every day, but I'm going to have to call an audible and figure this out, because I don't want this World Cup here, this tournament here, and everything that's happening in New York, I don't want that to pass me by. So if anyone has any ideas or any solutions, please let me know, because I can't think of anything. I am wearing my Allez les Bleus shirt. This is a shirt that I've had to support France for a long time. I guess I support France. I don't know. I'll see how they play. They're in the same group with Senegal, so I'm going to support Senegal before I support France at this point in the tournament. But this is one of my football shirts, and it's starting to fall apart. So this may be the one and only time that we get to see it. But anyway, we are running out of time. I try to keep this less than 20 minutes, and the game is starting. So for everybody who is about to watch the Saudi Arabia-Uruguay game, enjoy the match. And if you are staying later to watch Iran-New Zealand, enjoy that match too. And I will see you tomorrow for another football hangout and chat. Talk to you guys soon.